Yo, just wanted to holler at y'all real quick, man. We got your boy Lil Durk, man, got arrested, man, for a murder for hire plot. It's really one of the craziest things because, as a youngster, he's supposed to be successful and making it and making music and becoming just this major artist. And it looked like he got to that point. For a lot of people who know him, he's successful. But it seemed like the feds got with him after they arrested some other guys from I guess his camp, or they claiming from his camp, and now they giving him a federal case as a murder for hire. And it's crazy. It's all connected to a little King Von who passed away about 2 years ago uh, in Atlanta. And now all of a sudden, some guys went to Los Angeles and like rented vehicles and got private planes and all kind of stuff to go up there and actually did a murder. And it's rapping back to Lil Durk, and I'm sure he's like lividly unhappy with it and don't want this to be his reality. But what do you say? What can you say when they're associating this murder with you like this? It's like, man, I know he's like sick to his stomach and just wish they could just take this all back. But y'all gotta let me know what y'all think, man. To hear something like this about Lil Durk, knowing that he is supposed to be such a millionaire and rich and financially stable, and we all working our butts off to get to that financial level, what would make him want to set up a murder? You think that's true? You think that could be true? In some a lot of my feeling just believe something can't be true like that, because you get to the money finally, and then what would you make you kill yourself or do that? With me being a little bit older, I don't necessarily listen to his music as much, but I do understand that he make music and he got good music and a lot of people like his music. That being said, it seems like he talked about that in his raps, and that's what a lot of people uh kind of don't be having a sorry feeling for you if you talk about this kind of stuff and then it turns up in your real life. You getting indicted, you might be going to prison. It's like, hey, nigga, this what you talked about, and it's like, but it was just talk, it's just rhymes. I'm not actually living like that, but you know I don't know, and you just wish the youngsters had more intelligence as to probably not put themselves in those kind of scenarios. But is it really like that? You put yourself in a scenario and they just want to put you down, take you down. They're not going to let you live out here and be doing murder plots. You know what I'm saying? That can't be something that you thought was going to be cool. You can do a murder plot and then just keep living normal. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to let that play out. America got their ways, and I just can't see them letting that play out where you could just plot for somebody to die and then go live your normal life. That's not gonna happen. And so sitting in prison behind is like they saying it's 25 to life. If and then you know how it is with the feds, they'll make you plead out so you don't have to go face all that shit. That's really what the whole hustle gonna be. They're gonna come to him and say, you gotta plead out. If you don't, we're gonna hit you with that big number, and then he ain't gonna want to do that. He ain't gonna want to have to even be facing that. That's what I believe. I believe when it come down to it, he's gonna plead out and get his ass in prison so he can get this shit over with. Because like another guy was saying, if he does 25 years, I'm not exactly sure how old he is. Let me look up and see how old Lil Durk is. Or do they say it on his thing? They might even actually say it, his actual age on Google now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's in his 20s. He could be in his 20s. If he's in his 20s, he's actually in a good position. Because if he's older than his 20s, it might not be so good. But let's see if he's how old Durk is. They're saying he is 1992. I was 19. Oh, so he's 32. Shit, it's been 32 years old since I was 19. 32 plus 25, you're looking at it like close to 60, close to 50, 55, close to 60 years old. So that's not good. That's not good. 32 is pretty. That's kind of a big age. You know what I'm saying? He's not old. It's just a bigger age than your 20s. So this was kind of looking bad for him to be locked up. They say he was in Florida when he got arrested. So I mean, it's all over the news. You cannot find nowhere where this is not on the news. You know what I'm saying? And it says Chicago rapper known for his collaboration with Drake and Grammy winner melodic performance. He has booked in a Broward County jail for a murder for hire charge. As NBC Miami speaks, 32-year-old whose name is Dirk Banks was arrested by U.S. Marshals. So that means they might ship him right back to Chicago after that. And five, he also included five members from the OTF crew, a Chicago-based group formed by Lil Durk in 2010. The federal indictment alleges that members of the OTF involved in Los Angeles murder for hire plot retaliation for the killing of the musician King Von, who was shot and associated rapper Quando Rondo in 2020. Yeah, so it's like this was all associated with Quando Rondo. They say he faced five felony charges in 2019, shooting surrendered to the police in May 19. The charge included attempt to commit suicide, committed murder of a possession of a firearm, and commission of a felony. Damn. Here's what the issue is. Prosecutors allege that the individual is linked to the OTF using an OTF associated credit card to facilitate their travel arrangements and murder for hire scheme. Prosecutors said that the same day as the shooting, an unnamed co-conspirator used the OTF associated credit card to purchase plane tickets for Wilson Jones, Lindsay, and Houston to return to Chicago. Damn. So that's the trick. And but see, to me, it's like they're gonna be easily to figure this out because think about that. If a person got money for a private plane, who the hell is that person? People are gonna want to know because private planes cost dumb money. And I look at things like that. Like, if say you got a private, say people want to use a private plane, that's for people that's trying to dump money. Like, say you don't want to pay the government no money, like taxes and shit like that. You like don't. It's the end of the year. You rich and you don't want to pay the taxes on some kind of money. Then you would rent somebody's private plane and you would pay for the gas. And then you would be like, okay, cool, fly them here or fly me there, and we're gonna just go around the goddamn country, so I don't have to fucking get a government this money for taxes. I'd be like, I used it for gas when I was flying this flight. And so that to me is like what private planes is for. Is ways to dump your money into something that's not necessarily something that you got to pay the government, because obviously if you have certain levels of money and it's expendable like that, they're gonna be taxing it. Like, yo, you got to pay this, you got to pay that. We're gonna need this cut off this, we're gonna need this cut off that. But if you took that same money but you was utilizing it in another way, like, hey, we got gas money for this flight, we had to pay for this, that's what I think private planes and all that shit is for. But if you just like a regular Joe Blow with a 9 to 5 lifestyle, you basically a regular human, and you got money for a private plane, that's gonna make anybody with that's white and older and understand that world going that's gonna pique their understanding. They're gonna be like, who is this dude? Who's renting a fucking private plane? How much they pay for the gas? How they get the money for the gas? You know how they do investigations. You know how they checking the people and want to know everything about you, trying to figure out all this shit about you before, and then all of a sudden they got some investigation. So it's like, if this all was true, because it's all alleged at this point, and then everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But if it's it at all true, he probably will never be free again. Because think about it, you rich and you're using your money to do a murder for hire. It's like that's not the smartest thing to do with millions of dollars. That don't mean he did it, but they alleged he did it. So it's like hard to beat that. It's hard to walk away from that. With, I don't know what evidence they got, but in order for them to get a conviction, they're gonna have to bring some kind of evidence into the play and show that that's murder for hire plot that they're alleging he actually has something to do with it. Because his knowledge could be at the fact that he just didn't know. It could be somebody behind the scenes in his business that was handling that stuff or trying to make sure th- things like that got accomplished, but not necessarily him. Don't really know. Nobody knows. The only person that really gonna know is Dirk, if he has something to do with that. But they'll still try to get a conviction up from him off of his association with his own credit card. Meaning that if you say you didn't know that they people was using your credit card to authorize some kind of murder for hire plot or whatever they was doing, and then you be like, I just didn't know, I didn't know. Well, they're gonna easily be like, do you get notifications from the bank? Do you get notifications on your phone from the airplane company? That do you get notifications from the rental cards or whatever it is on this credit card? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna try to do all this investigating to try to connect the young bro to that. And so hopefully he got nothing to do with that shit. And it's like other people doing it, you know what I'm saying? That's probably in his camp, but just didn't tell him. But the way they going is that they gonna want the big fish. So say it's like your secretary that's dating one of those guys, and she know how to do all of that paperwork kind of shit, and she can make these things happen. It's still a comeback affecting you in a negative way, because you ultimately supposed to be looking over your forms and your paperwork and your stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be letting other people handle it, because stuff like that can happen where they get, and then they all got this no negativity against the law. So just because you don't know something, I mean, no ignorance towards the law. So just because you don't know something, don't mean that they still can't convict you on it. You know what I'm saying? Because you wasn't privy to this happening. They'll look at it like you was letting people sell drugs out your house, but you actually was at work all the time, or you left town, or you spent the night at your girl crib most of the time. You really wasn't over there. And so they'll say, well, you didn't see cars pulling up to your house. Your neighbors never told you it was a lot of people coming and going at your crib. When you did spend the night there, did nobody ring the bell? You're like, nah, I didn't know nothing was happening. They're gonna be like, nah, we don't believe that. Or perhaps that person who you've seen in the world, and they might have kidnapped some girl and kept her in the basement for years. And then gave her babies and shit like that. And they never let the girl out. And then they finally the girl get freed somehow. And then they ask the wife and be like, yo, you never knew it was a girl in the basement being held against her will for 7 years, having babies and shit? No, I never knew nothing. It's like, who gonna believe that? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I believe that if Dirk set himself in a situation where he did not know that that was going on, that's some stuff he gonna have to prove. Like, how are you in your world but you don't know what's going on financially behind the scenes with your stuff? Like, so it's gonna be a trial to figure out how he is connected to this, because they're, how they all claim it to be, that if the feds do not bother you unless they got something. So is that the truth? Is that what's going on with this? Because it seemed like it could be. And so it's like, damn, those guys who he was well, I don't know if he was associated with them, but they claiming he was associated with, they all had like flights back. They say that they flew back to Chicago. And so they said the credit card associated with OTF made the arrangement for the flights for them. So that is connecting it to Dirk, even though he might not be the person who did it. It's his company, or maybe I think he's the CEO of the company. So they trying to connect it to him like that. So it's like he got a definite uphill battle to deal with, and it's all over the world, so all over the news and everything like that. So it's like, I don't know how long he been in the industry. It could have been like about 10 years now. So he kind of grew up rapping for the last, as an adult man. That's all he knows, the industry and making music. So now he'd be sitting in prison and shit, fighting a case in another state, no less. Like they got him in what's that, Florida? So I mean, that's not Chicago. That's not. It's a long way from Chicago. So but it's federal, so maybe they ship you around or something like that. But y'all gotta let me know in the comment section what you think, man. I hope that the young bro do beat it. I don't want nobody to be sitting in prison, and I'm sure. I don't know if he had anything to do with it. Obviously, nobody do. But being arrested like that and taking off the industry and taking out the music world, they just came at P Diddy. They coming at him. It's like it's no weep for the weary, man. It's not a time for them to be a little scared out there, because getting into the game and then getting to that level is so many people that's poking at you. It's so many people want to see you go down. You know what I'm saying? And you would think that music is fun. You know what I'm saying? And it's supposed to be happy and upbeat and laughable and kicking it. But the content of the conversation and the words that they talk about is different from when I grew up, where they was talking about blackness. And when we was kids, it's so funny too, because they hated that part of rap. Like people was against that shit. Like all this black talk, all this blackness and all this black African American, dashiki shit and wearing what's them. We used to have these wooden African chains when we was in teenagers and younger 20s. And so they didn't like that. They was against that. They was like, man, that shouldn't be, that's not music, that's not this. But we used to hear it and be feeling like, but they talking about black shit. Like I thought y'all was liking black people. Do you hear what they saying in the music? Like you must not listen to it, because if you heard the words, they talking about being black and uplifting blackness. Why don't the fuck don't nobody like this shit? So then you see that switched out of rap, and then they came with a more gangster appeal. And that was fun. And then everybody started hating on that. Like, oh no, it's too gangster. Everybody thugs. I'm tired of this shit. It's like a gangster, gangster, gangster. Everybody a thug, everybody a drug dealer. they started hating on it. And then the younger generation got it. The Chief Keefs, the generation under me, and they loved it. The young people was dancing to it, having a good time, and it was a good fucking music. And then just again, just like back when I was a kid, now they back on hating it. They hate the fucking sound. Everybody killing each other in the music. It's the worst. It's like the creators of the sound can never make the masses happy. It's like the creation, like I created something, and then other people jump on board and add their element or they love or their effects to it, and then somebody become a beacon in it. Somebody steps out, somebody becomes a little Wayne, somebody becomes a little Durk, somebody becomes a Kanye or Jay-Z, where they are the guy that represents that, the 50 Cent, the Drake. So it's like then those guys becomes the ones that get poked at, the ones who could really do it. Like they did it and everybody agreed, like he do it the best. I like how he do it. And then it's like now your demise about to start because for instance, they stop liking it. The people get tired of it. When we was growing up, the rappers that was big in my youth, if you mention their names today, it would be like, why are you talking about them? But at that time, you could not imagine who was going to be in the future. Like you can't guess the newest artist coming up tomorrow or down the street or down the way, but you just remember the people that was big. Like, so I know as youngsters that grew up on Lil Durk, that's going to be missing him. That's going to be like, man, that was my guy, man. I went to him when I was in eighth grade, when I was in high school, when I was in college. That's all we listened to because the music is of that time that young person was in. And so even though the content of the conversation and the words might not be Black Power and African American and we gonna change America, it might be the time for that young person who's listening to it and a Dirk fan, and now they remembering what he did and how he gave such an influence in their life. And so what's the new sound that's coming? What's the newest industry music that they're gonna love and take off with? Because they getting rid of this sound. The younger sound that Dirk and them is a part of, they group, they era, they cutting it off. They putting guys in jail. It's over. It's gonna be they taking the words and making it an indictment behind what you say in the words. So that particular rap style is gonna phase out. Because just like when I was a kid and they was doing the Black Power rap, the people just stopped liking it. It did not last. Today, if anybody jumps into rap music and start talking about blackness and all that shit, people gonna kick it in the ass. Like if you don't get this shit out of here, it's been decades since that type of music was allowed. So then you had the gangster rapping from my era. But if you hear Ice Cube and them rapping about gangster shit today, it's not gonna have the same impact. Like, dude, you're 60. What are you talking about? Get out of here. But the younger generation probably won't even listen to it. And Ice Cube got a dope ass song out right now, matter of fact, called My Ego. But it's not necessarily about thuggery, you know what I'm saying, from being his young years. It's his sound that he's making today. So you see how the sounds change, and when the sounds change, the people change. So now the Dirks of the world are getting back in of the success. Now it's not like you last 20 years and you become LL Cool J and start working on a TV show. It's okay, yeah, the stuff that you said in the rhymes, we gonna connect it to this kind of crime, and then you go to prison, whether it's guilty or not, whether you did it or not, because this is the era, this is the genre, this is the type of sound that it is. It makes people act like this. You the beacon. You the guy who, when you do it, they love you. When you sing like this, everybody listen. So you got to be the fall guy. You the young boy, the NBA young boy. So it's like whenever it's a fall guy that's gonna come behind this, it's gonna probably be you because you at the top. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my brain behind that. You can see a lot of times that's happening when the guys get super successful, that the other people just underneath them or just didn't get there, or they just do not like them, or even just regular folks, like people that's not even in the industry, like they just not gonna like you. They not gonna be happy with your success level. You know what I'm saying? And then how do you be successful to that level if you don't put yourself out there? If you don't let people know it's you and you stand on your brand, whatever the thing is that you into. And because it's just the time of that time. I didn't really listen to a lot of Dirk raps, but the younger guys was telling me about it. And I understand it from a different vantage point because I'm not younger. So it's like I look at it like that's just a phase of the songs. That's the sound that's in today. Even if it is demographying, because there was a time when I was young, it was a time when it was a rhyme style called grave rap, where basically it was about and old boy, what's his name? RZA from the Wu Tang is like one of the spearheaders of that sound. He had a group called the Grave Diggers, and they was making rhymes. It was outside of Wu Tang. It wasn't. He wasn't with the Wu Tang. He was doing. I'm sure they was in the Wu Tang still. That they was still a part of the Wu Tang, but the group he was in was called the Grave Diggers, and that was basically what they would call it was cemetery rap or grave rap. And so that's what the rhymes was about. They would do all of this real. You can still look this shit up. It's not hidden. You can look them up right now. It's Grave Diggers, RZA, and that was that style of rap. Obviously, it didn't last. It didn't become today's sound, and people know and remember it. But it was a time. It was a short time. But that was a time for rap like that. It was a time for neo soul kind of rap, where that style of rap came out for a minute, singing, and people was doing neo soul. It was just a genre inside music. It came out, it went away. So that's how I looked at the style that they was doing today. Just younger. It's not my style, it's not my era. But then they started phasing out. But when you see them going to prison and going all like that, it's like they doing it faster. It's gonna be quick because if his indictment kicked off today, you talk about 6 months to a year he in court, and then you talking about another 6 months after that he's in his cell, and it's like forever. And his dad came home from prison. I saw on the internet, and I'm sure his father was telling him like, "Hey, get away from all that street shit because it could be real bad for you." And still, it was too late for him because he's young, he living his life. Then imagine being rich and at that type of level. It's just probably a fast paced lifestyle. So you could imagine things happening and he just not knowing that, wait a minute, he got indicted. His birthday is October 19th. So they indicted him 4 days after his birthday. Whoa, whoa. 3 days after his birthday. Wow. So he just turned 32. They say he just turned 32 like about 3 days, 4 days ago. So happy birthday to the young bro, and hopefully you get out of that situation, man. So all right, man, that's all I got for y'all. Let me know in the comment section what you think, man. Do you think this gonna be the end of Lil Durk? Is he gonna beat this? Is he gonna fight this? What you think gonna happen, man? Let me know.